We'll call to order today's special city council meeting. Roll call.
Berg.
Here.
Franzfeld.
Here.
Hedberg.
Here.
Janser.
Here.
Kosen.
Here.
Lehner.
Here.
Olson. Pankow.
Here.
Padragula.
Here.
Schuler.
Here.
Schimento. Sitma.
Here.
Straight.
Here.
Withus.
Here.
Barney.
Here. Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We have 8 actionable items on our agenda. What are the committee's wishes?
Mr. Chairman, I would
Alderman
move
Lehner.
consent on all 8 items.
Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Schuler. For those of you in the audience, that means that all of these items will be passed as they came out of committee. And Derek, thank you. So if you want any of these items pulled because you want to discuss something contrary to what came out of the committee, we can pull those items and discuss them at length. Alderman Padragula.
If we could post 7 and 8, please.
7 and 8. Any other items wish to be pulled? Seeing no one, call the roll.
Lehner.
Yes.
Pankow.
Yes.
Padragula.
Yes.
Schuler.
Yes.
Schimento.
Yes.
Sitma.
Yes.
Straight.
Yes.
Withus.
Yes.
Berg.
Yes.
Franzfeld.
Yes.
Hedberg.
Yes.
Janser.
Yes.
Kosen.
Yes.
Motion's pass. Item number 7 is the appointment of the city manager, Thomas Berry.
Mr. Mayor, I'll move that item.
Moved by Janser,
Second.
seconded by Sitma. Alderman Padragula, you had a question, or?
I wanted to make some comments if I could.
Sure, please.
Okay. 2 kinds of comments. The first is I'm glad to see that we're offering a very generous compensation package to our new city manager, and I'll trust the vice president and the mayor made a good deal. It's quite generous, but I think to get good talent, it's worth it. And I'm glad to see that we're providing full family health insurance coverage for the city manager as part of his benefit package. My hope is that we can eventually, fairly shortly, extend that to other staff. Now, the second comment, I think I have 6 separate parts, and I'll try to be very brief here, but I think this is the most important decision the council makes, barring some crisis or emergency. And I want people to be clear, both the aldermen who didn't have the opportunity to attend all the meetings like I did, although I wasn't a member of the committee, and also the general public. First comment is I wanted to thank the HR director. I think it's the one responsible for making sure that all of the candidates were able to bring their spouses. I think your spouse has to be on board if you're going to work for the city, and I think this sets a good precedent in terms of us paying attention to work-life balance and family issues. We may not be able to afford sometimes a competitive private sector salary, but at least we can have a good family-friendly and work-life balanced place. So I wanted to single her out. I think she was the one responsible for that. The second point I want to make is that I wanted to thank the staff who were actively involved in the recruitment process. They asked probing questions, and I was particularly impressed with their candor when they asked questions of the candidates and when they offered what seemed to be a very honest and a very probing assessment of their respective strengths and weaknesses. That means a lot. This was not a rubber stamp decision or just a unanimous kind of process. There was a lot of discussion and debate, and that's important. Third point I wanted to make is that the committee, I think, did a very good job. And I think, speaking here as a psychologist, it functioned well. People debated. They looked at alternatives. They I think, were very honest in the choices they had to make. Point number 4, and I think this is an important one, I wanted to thank the mayor. After the search committee person, finished the interviewing process, he said, look, it's basically up to you guys now. And at that point, the mayor took over, and he took probably a couple of hours to guide the search committee in its process. And again, as a psychologist, I think he did an excellent, if not outstanding, job of leading that group. He guided them through that process. He helped them look at the alternatives very dispassionately. He asked very probing questions. And I want people to know that he did a wonderful job. I really can't think of how he could have improved it. Again, I'm speaking here as a psychologist, someone who knows something about interpersonal behavior and group interaction. Chuck did an excellent job. And part of the reason I say that is occasionally he and I have had differences, and sometimes there's been some energy behind those differences. I think that reflects our backgrounds and our personalities. But I want people to know he did an excellent job of leading the committee, and I can feel very confident in the outcome because of what he did. Next, the last point I want to make is that I think the process of choosing a city manager was an open one. It was a thorough one. The committee took time. They deliberated. The process was legit. Now, that doesn't guarantee there's going to be a good outcome, but I think if we have a good process, I can feel much more confident in the outcome. So I am very comfortable with the work of the committee, and I will vote to support their nomination. I think this was almost a classic example of how it should be done. It was televised, or at least there was a recording of it. People came and went. The public was invited. Many of the aldermen spent at least a few minutes in the process. Some stayed there quite a while. Alderman Straight was there at the end, I think, when they were discussing the choices. So I wanted to reassure the other members of the council and the public that I think the process of coming up with this decision, from when I was involved, which is when the candidates arrived in Minot, was a sound one and a good one, and I feel comfortable with the recommendation. I will vote to support it.
Thank you, Alderman Padragula, for your comments and those kind words. Any other comment on this item? Any other comment? Call the roll.
Janser,
Yes.
Cosin,
Yes.
Laner,
Yes.
Pankow,
Yes.
Padragula,
Yes.
Schuler,
Yes.
Schimento, Sitma,
Yes.
Straight,
Yes.
Withus,
Yes.
Berg,
Yes.
Franzfog,
Yes.
Hedberg.
Motion passes. Item number 8 is the award of bid for the parking ramps cladding. Have a motion?
Move 8. Second.
Moved by Franzfog, seconded by Laner. Discussion? Alderman Padragula?
I had 4 quick questions for the, I guess it would be the city engineer.
Mr. Mayor?
Before I vote to support this, I wanted to ask 4 quick questions in terms of what else is out there. First question I have to ask is, there was some discussion last time about the roofing, and I think the city was going to be negotiating with the contractor, with the developer, to make sure the roof was solid. We're trying to make the walls serviceable for the winter. What's the status of the roof?
Mr. Mayor, Alderman Padragula, we've been in contact still with the developer regarding the roofing systems. They had submitted a concept before that we had rejected. It just doesn't give the life expectancy or the finished product that we would desire. We told them that they have to get with a licensed architect to have that system designed, send it into building inspection so we can review it, and then they can get a permit. That was a couple weeks ago, and we have not heard back yet.
How long can we go without a roof or without adequate roofing?
Well, I'll tell you how we put this contract together for the exterior cladding. We had to make an assumption that a roof wouldn't be in place. And so what we did is we put a membrane, like a EPDM rubber back about 4 feet around the edges of that building to keep the water from penetrating behind the exterior cladding that we're going to be putting in. And so what that'll do is it'll buy us the time that we need to make sure that we get a roofing system on that, or on both of those buildings. Obviously, the structure at Central Avenue is the one that has a longer projected time frame as far as the apartments going up on top. We've been working with the developer as far as the Renaissance structure on 2nd Avenue, and they've been telling us that they're getting close on their financing. They're doing ALTA surveys, which is typically required for that sort of thing. So what I'm hearing is it sounds like that construction would move forward in the spring. But again, we haven't seen any plans to that effect.
Will that leave a sound enough roof for the winter?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Now, the second question I had was with the sidewalks. Are we not having them then until all the construction is finished, or at what point are we putting in sidewalks?
Mr. Mayor and Alderman Padragula, as the downtown infrastructure project progresses, we'll be doing the sidewalks around the building. So, for instance, on the central structure, the sidewalks on 1st Avenue and Central Avenue are completed. And on Renaissance, which is on 2nd Avenue, the 2nd Avenue sidewalk will be completed. The 3rd phase of downtown infrastructure that goes out to bid here either late this fall or early in the spring will finish all the streets and sidewalks on the remaining sides of the building, 1st Street and 3rd Avenue.
Third question, what about the alleys?
We sent out quotes for the alleys. We didn't get any responses, and I think it's a year timing thing. All the paving contractors are busy. We've gone, Public Works has helped us out. They've gone in the alleys. We've basically cut a V-ditch in the center of it that'll get us by through the spring. This winter, we'll put out a bid package like we did before, and we'll get a contractor lined up. MDU needs to do some gas main work in those alleys, so we can work with them they'll get in there first, get the gas main done, and then we'll come in and pave it.
So they'll be usable during the winter?
Correct.
And plowable?
As they are now.
Okay, thank you. And final question is, do you foresee any other contingencies at this point in terms of these two structures that we'll need to invest in to make them serviceable and to protect the city's investment?
Mr. Mayor, Alderman Padragula, I think the largest outstanding issues at this time that I can see are the roofing systems on those structures. There's some punch list items remaining that have to be completed, and we're working through that with them. Other than that, I mean, generally speaking right now, those structures, they're 99% complete with the city's projects. So as soon as I get lien releases and all the final paperwork and as-builts, and they fix those minor punch list items that we have left, we're done. We can close out those projects, and then it's really up to the developer to move forward with their plans. And if that doesn't happen regarding a roofing system in the near future, then we may have to revisit that. One thing to keep in mind, and I mentioned this before, right now their revenue is in the parking, and it's in the retail space around those buildings. So we have a parking structure in the middle, and then on the outside, that's where they can rent out that space. But we can't permit them any interior remodel or finishing without a roof and without an exterior finish. Well, we're taking care of the exterior finish, but if they don't put a roof on that building, they can't permit it. So they're stuck, and they don't have the revenue they need to cash flow that project.
So are you saying there's maybe an incentive for them to try to get moving, or
That would be my assumption.
if they care?
Take care.
Thank you, I appreciate that.
You're welcome.
Any other questions for Mr. Meyer? Thank you, sir.
You're welcome.
Any other discussion on the item on the floor? Any further discussion? Call the roll.
Branstad?
Yes.
Hedberg? Yes. Janser?
Yes.
Cosin?
Yes.
Lehner?
Yes.
Pankow?
Yes.
Padragula?
Yes.
Schuler? Yes. Shemento? Yes. Sitma?
Yes.
Straight?
Yes.
Withus?
Yes.
Berg?
Yes.
Motion passes. Item number 9 is move for adjournment.
So moved.
Moved by Lehner.
Second.
Seconded by Janser. All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries. We're adjourned.